Day 328 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 2103, rings and rods. The difficulty level is easy, so you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as well. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go in and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. There are n rings, and each ring is either red, green, or blue. The rings are distributed across 10 rods labeled 0 to 9. You are given a string rings of length 2 times n that describe the n rings that are placed onto the rods. Every 2 characters in rings forms a color position pair that is used to describe each ring, where the first character of the ith pair denotes the ith ring color. For example, RG and B. The second character of the ith pair denotes the rod that the ith ring is placed on from 0 to 9. For example, R3, G2, B1 describes N equals 3 rings, a red ring placed onto rod labeled 3, a green ring placed onto rod labeled 2, and a blue ring placed on the rod labeled 1. Return the number of rods that have all 3 colors of rings on them. All right, y'all, so I can understand how that question may be a little bit difficult to understand by just reading the question. So let's go ahead and take a look at these examples to make sure that we are doing this question correctly. So in example 1, we have rings. The input rings equals a string B0, B6, G0, R6, R0, R6, and G9. The output is 1. Explanation says the rod labeled 0 holds 3 rings with all colors red, green, and blue. The rod labeled 6 holds 3 rings, but it only has red and blue. The rod labeled 9 holds only a green ring. Thus, the number of rods with all 3 colors is 1. So let's go ahead and go through this input one more time so we can make sure that we fully understand what's going on here, right? So in this string, we have B0. First, we have B0. So that means there's going to be a blue ring on the 0 index rod, right? That's where this blue ring at the bottom comes from. Then we have B6. So that lets us know there's going to be a blue ring on the index labeled 6, right? So that's where this blue ring comes from. Then we have a G0. So G0 lets us know we need to put a green ring on the rod at index 0, right? So that's where this green ring right here comes from. Then we have R6. That lets us know we need to place a red ring on index 6 rod. That's where this red ring comes from right here. Then we have R0. R0 lets us know we need to place a red ring on the rod indexed at 0. So that's where this red ring comes from right here. Then R6 lets us know we need to place another red ring on the rod at index 6. So that's where this second red ring comes from. And then finally, we have G9. That lets us know that we need to put a green ring on the index 9 rod right here. Boom. Then we're not done yet because we still need to count the number of rods that have all 3 colors. And as you can see, there's only one rod that has all 3 colors, which is this rod at index 0. Rod at index 1 has no colors. Rod at index 6 only has 2 colors, and rod at index 9 only has 1 color. We want to count the number of rods that have all 3 colors, right? So we're not just returning the index, we're returning the number of rods that have all 3 colors. In this case, there's only one rod that has all 3 colors, which is the rod at index 0, so we're going to return 1. So just in case that didn't really make sense, let's go ahead and look at example 2. The principle is the same, but let's go through it anyway just to really hammer this home and make sure that we are doing this correctly. So in example 2, we have the input rings equals an array of integers. Not an array of integers, equals a string. The first character being B, second character being 0. Third character being R, then 0, then G, then 0, then R, then 9, then R, then 0, then B0, G0, right? So as we can see, first we have B0. So that lets us know we need to put a blue ring at the rod index 0, blue ring right here. Then we have R0. That lets us know we need a red ring at the rod index 0. So we put the red ring right here. Boom. Then we have G0. So that lets us know we put a green ring at the rod index 0. Boom. Then we have R9. So R9 means we need to put a red ring at the rod at index 9. So that's where this red ring comes from. Then we have R0. So we know we need another red ring at the rod index 0. Then we have B0, so that lets us know we need a blue ring. That's where this blue ring comes from. Then we have G0. G0 is last but not least. That's where this green ring comes from. Lets us know we need to put a green ring at index 0. Then we need to count how many rings have all of their colors. Excuse me, y'all. So as you can see, there's only one ring right here that has all of the colors, right? So the output is 1 since there's only one, there's only one rod with all of the color rings. Boom. So let's go ahead and look at example 3 where they might try to throw a trick question our way where 0 rings have all the colors. So in example 3, we have the input rings equals G4. So that means we put a green ring at the rod index 4, but that's the only ring we ever place, which means if we only place one ring, but we need at least 3 different color rings to have all of the colors, then we know that 0 ring, or excuse me, that means we know 0 rods have all of the rings, right? So the output is 0. It says only one ring is given, thus no rods have all 3 colors. So sounds simple enough, y'all, but now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution, y'all. And as I'm sure you already are aware, to answer this problem, we're going to use a dictionary. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a dictionary to store the rod index as the key and an array of colors as the value. So in order to do that, we could just come right here. We can declare a variable, call it dict, say colon, square bracket int, colon. Then we'll open up the square brackets. We'll say character. So the key will be an integer for the index. The value is going to be an array of characters for the colors. Then we could come right here and initialize it, say equals, and just use a blank dictionary like this. So say square bracket, colon, square bracket, just like that. Boom. Now we need a variable to keep track of the previous index, and that will be used to track the color ring pairs. So we could just, to do that, we could just declare a variable, call it prev index, set that equal to 0. Boom. Now we need to convert the input string into an array of characters, and this will help us for easy indexing. So we could just say let array equal array, open up the parentheses, rings, just like that. Boom. Now we need to iterate through the array with the index and the character. So in order to do that, we're going to say for open up the parentheses, index, comma, char. So this is going to get the index and the character, and we're going to say in array dot enumerated. So this enumerated gets, then we'll say parentheses, but this enumerated gets us the index and the element at that index, right? So in this case, it's going to get us the index and the character. That's what we use this array dot enumerated for. Then we come right here, open up the brackets, and we can say let n equal int, open up the parentheses, string. Then we'll open up the parentheses again, say char. Then we're going to come over here, and we are going to open up the brackets. And if the character is a digit, meaning the rod index, then we're going to store its associated color. So in order to do that, we say dict, square bracket n. Come outside of that, we'll say equals, open up the parentheses. We're going to say dict, square bracket n. Come outside of that, question mark, square bracket, because it's optional. Then we're going to say plus, open the square bracket, array, open up the square bracket again, prev index, just like that. Then we could come right here and we could say else, we could open up the brackets, and if the character is a color, meaning RG or blue, or RG or B, we need to update the previous index to track it. So we could just say prev index equals index. Boom. Now we need to come right here outside of the for loop, and we need to count the number of rods that have all three colors. So in order to do that, we could say return dict dot filter, dot filter. Then we're going to open up the parentheses, open up some brackets, and we are going to come right here. We could come right here. We could say element in. We'll say set. So we're going to convert it to a set to ensure its uniqueness. And we'll say, open up the parentheses, we'll say element dot value. Come outside the parentheses, we'll say dot count equal sign 3. Then we're going to come right here and we are going to say dot keys dot count, and that's going to count the number of such rods. So that should be all she wrote, y'all. Let's go ahead and give it a run. Make sure it runs properly. Okay, we have an error. So let's see where we went wrong. Then we have an error on the else. So let's see where we went wrong here. It says consecutive statements online must be separated. So let's see what's going on up here. Let's see. Let's see. So hold on, y'all. Oh, sorry. This should be an if let, not a let. So it should be if let. So now let's give it a run. And let's see. And it's accepted, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it stays accepted. Ooh, look at that, y'all. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users with Swift. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see right there. Those are some good numbers. So with that being said, make sure y'all get one more look at the code. Look, code not even that long. That's all the code right there. Boom. Y'all could get that. Oh, excuse me. No, it's not all the code. I take that back. This now, boom. Make sure you get that keys, that count in there. So this is all the code right here. Boom. Read it, learn it, love it. And then I hope y'all learned something today. And I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.